Join us as artist David Behrens describes the inspiration behind his oil, Visions of Valor.
Yes, I'd like to start to describe the painting process, the all the different stages that go into creating a painting, and in this case, with Visions of Valor. Um, One thing I've learned is that the idea always starts in the heart and in the imagination, but it takes a journey. That's the starting point. Uh, and then the journey comes in fleshing it out in the pencil drawings, in the research. Ideas kind of morph and change, and that's I think just to maybe as a philosophy, that's a really important thing to drive home, especially to young artists, that you cannot create art in your head. It all starts deep inside, but the journey is to bring it out, to manifest it in a piece of art. And it's a patient process. It's a process where you'll come to many crossroads, sometimes dead ends in concepts and ideas. Sometimes you have to just quit for that moment and go back to it. But it's a loving bringing forth, and that's something I'd like to just kind of emphasize for artists. Be patient with your art; it will come in its own good time. So with Visions of Valor, what I started with, I had these an image of a veteran and looking into the past, and that's where I started. Well, I started to think of other, since my paintings are not just static portraits, they encompass many different images. Many sometimes people call my paintings montages or even dreamscapes. Um, and that is what I really like because there's a timelessness to it. There's a sequence of elements that would not work in real time and real space, but in the imaginary world of a painting, all these parts fit together well and complete the story. So, Visions of Valor, I thought to myself, okay, a, uh, a wonderful veteran, a look, a sage look, a knowing look. I imagined that. And then I thought about the words, these incredible Navajo words, um, metaphors for military terms. And then I started thinking about Iwo Jima and Ira Hayes. Um, Started thinking about the scene. I started thinking about World War II. I started thinking about billowing smoke and that type of thing. And little by little, I started to put together sketches. And with any good painting, there's a hierarchy of images. Um, One image kind of leads the way to lesser images. And I really wanted the focus to be on the older gentleman. In this case, this painting, it was an image of Jerry Begay Sr., who sadly passed away a good 8 years ago or so. Shortly after I completed the painting, he passed away. Very tragic. Anyway, I really thought it was an important thing to create and build these images together to speak this incredible story. So when all these concepts are gathered, the pencil sketching starts, and and I sketch these different elements, and then I try to compose these elements. When I'm pleased with the total composition, that there's balance and strength and hierarchy of elements, then I go in, I my pencil work down on my board. Then I start to paint in very thin washes. I use oils. I also use a medium called Liquin, which in our modern age, Liquin does the same thing as linseed oil would do back hundreds of years ago for artists. The only difference is that there's a drying element in the Liquin that causes the paint to dry within 24 hours. So day after day after day, I could paint and add to my composition instead of waiting for days and weeks for the wet linseed oil to get tacky and eventually dry. But anyway, those are some of the most important parts of creating a painting, and then the fine tuning when the paint is down, and then there's push and pull. Then there's highlights and muting areas and bringing other areas out. Um, and that's the fun of creating art when you step back, or maybe you put your brushes down for the day. You come back the next day with fresh eyes, and you're able to see um, what is speaking to you, what whose voice needs to be stronger, metaphorically in this painting. So, thank you for listening, and I hope you tune into more stories of my paintings.
You've been watching artist David Behrens describe his inspiration for his oil painting, Visions of Valor. If you're interested in purchasing a gift created by David, you could go online to davidbehrensgallery.com, where you'll find a wide selection of items featuring David's artwork, including mugs, prints, t-shirts, and more. If you find yourself in Albuquerque, head to the historic Old Town area to be transported back in time. The authentic original buildings and local cuisine provide a perfect backdrop for a collection of David's artwork and the unique, hand-picked artwork of local craftsmen. You can find the gallery at 326 San Felipe Street, Northwest 87104. Thank you.